Bolt fam, the 53-man roster is set. The practice squad is set. We're going to go through both the active 53-man roster plus practice squad players, talk about some surprises that unfolded over the past 2 days. We're going to go through it all in this episode. I'm so looking forward to week 1 against the Chiefs. I'm ready to roll. It's time that the Chargers finally dethrone the Chiefs and take back the AFC West. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Electric Edge Podcast on YouTube. Follow me on X at Electric Edge Pod. And as always, leave me some love in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about this episode. Anything Chargers related. Love to read it. Love to respond to fans. So without further ado, let's get into the active 53-man roster. All right, so the active 53-man roster was released late yesterday afternoon. Yesterday was Tuesday, the 26th. Some surprises on the roster for sure. Some players that I projected were going to make it did not. Others that I thought weren't going to make it did. So we're going to go through it all right now. So first on the quarterbacks, Trey Lance did earn the QB2 spot this preseason. The Chargers did release Taylor Heineke yesterday. So on the active roster, you have Justin Herbert and Trey Lance is his backup. Like I've mentioned in multiple episodes already, Trey Lance definitely earned the QB2 spot. And hopefully this is a boost for his career. I think he's going to get a lot of development under Harbaugh and Herbert. So it'll be interesting to see how, after this year, what happens if he stays with the Chargers as a backup, or maybe he finds a starting job elsewhere, similar to what happened with Sam Darnold when he was with the 49ers, then jumped to the Vikings and became the starter. On to running backs. So this was one of my position groupings that I was a little bit surprised about. Before they released the 53-man roster, the news came out that Najee Harris was going to be on the active roster and not go on to the IR. But I thought they would carry 4 running backs. But they have Marion Hampton, Najee Harris, and Hassan Haskins. I was hoping that Rocket Sanders made the active 53-man roster. He didn't, unfortunately. He was actually picked up on waivers by Cleveland. So he is not even on the practice squad, which sucks, especially with the preseason he had. Kamani Vidal, however, is on the Chargers practice squad, so he cleared waivers. No one picked him up, so he was signed to the practice squad today. If you read this the way it writes, it would suggest that Marion Hampton is RB1, which I think he should be, but we'll see how the trio of running backs are used next week against the Chiefs and see how that depth chart kind of pans out. But definitely surprised about this group. I thought Rocket Sanders made a great case to make the 53-man roster. However, I was wrong, and a lot of others were wrong too. But wish him all the best going to Cleveland, and hopefully this is just the first step of a great career for him. Fullbacks, Scott Matlock, no surprise there. They use Matlock in multiple different schemes, whether it's on offense or defense or special teams. No big surprise that he's on the active 53-man roster. Wide receivers, pretty typical what we thought. Keenan Allen, Darius Davis, Trey Harris, QJ, KLS, and Ladd. Thought possibly Jalen Reagor could have made the 53-man, but he got signed to the practice squad today. Also thought DeLavion Campbell, he played well in the preseason. Didn't think he played well enough to make the 53-man, but he was claimed on waivers today as well, so he is no longer a Charger. But typically, no big surprises here with the wide receiver group. Kind of expected that the 2 draft picks plus the returning wide receivers were going to make that roster. Tight ends, one surprise here is Tucker Fisk. Tucker Fisk last year dabbled between the practice squad and the active roster. But we have Tyler Conklin, Will Dissly, Oronde Gadsden, and Tucker Fisk. Definitely looking forward to seeing Oronde get into the mix of this offense. Last game against the Niners, he scored a touchdown. But it'll be interesting to see how these 4 tight ends are used. They all have a different skill set. Conklin and Gadsden are more of the offensive catching tight ends. Will Dissly is more of the blocking tight end. Same with Tucker Fisk. So it'll be interesting to see next week how these 4 tight ends are used within the offense. On to the offensive line, which is every Chargers fan's pain point right now. So we have Joe Alt, Mekhi Becton, Bradley Bozeman, Austin Deculus, who was acquired yesterday for a 27 7th-round pick from Houston. So he is going to be that swing tackle, I believe, for them. Andre James, Zion, Trey Pipkins, John Marie Salyer. Even though this is right now the offensive line, I still think that Ortiz is going to look for some pieces to add. He has some flexibility using the IR. I just had seen that Eric Rodgers, who did make the 53-man, which we'll touch on, got put onto IR and they signed Delshon Phillips to the 53-man. So I think that this is still going to be a revolving door of offensive linemen. There's been a few notable offensive linemen that have been cut and put on waivers. So this is a position group to definitely keep an eye on as the week progresses. On to defense. No big surprises on the defensive line. You have John Marie Caldwell, Justin Aboye, Deshaun Hand, Naquan Jones, Tito Abonia, and Tier Tart. No big surprises there. You have Caldwell, who was their third-round pick, who's played well in the preseason. They signed Hand and Naquan Jones in the offseason as well. Nothing here that I didn't predict in my previous episode. But we move to the linebackers. Definitely some interesting spots. So we have Bud Dupree, Kyle Kennard, Khalil Mack, Caleb Murphy, and Tui Tuipulotu. Yesterday, news came out that Junior Colson was going to go on the IR, which opened up a spot. He's actually out for the year. He's having shoulder surgery, which was not mentioned until today. But it's cool to see Caleb Murphy make the 53-man. He played well in the preseason, definitely earned it. Kyle Kennard did not play well in the preseason, but he was that fourth-round pick, so it makes sense why they put him on the active roster. He has some development to do. But no big surprises here in the linebackers either. Inside linebackers, one of the players I predicted that would make the 53-man, Marlo Wax, did indeed make the 53-man roster. Definitely has earned it this preseason. Awesome to see that he made it. But we have Troy Dye, Diane Henley, Denzel Perryman as our inside linebackers. Those three there, no big surprises. But Marlo Wax, definitely cool to see him make it as an undrafted rookie free agent. All right, on to defensive backs. We have a lot of them. So right now we have Alohi Gilman, Cam Hart, Dante Jackson, Derwin James, RJ Mickens, Elijah Molden, Nico Reed, Eric Rogers, Taheep Still, Ben St. Just, Jasir Taylor, and Kendall Williamson. So the surprises in this group, I had projected that Nico Reed would make the 53-man roster, and he did. Kudos to him. He's earned it. Balled out this preseason. Eric Rogers as well. So Eric Rogers was, I think, a surprise for myself and a lot of other social media bloggers and podcasters that have followed the Chargers. He got hurt in the Rams game when he had a hell of a game. Didn't hear much news about him going into the 49ers game, but like I had mentioned previously, the Chargers put him on the 53-man roster. They have now moved him to the IR, and they re-signed Delshawn Phillips to the active roster. But kudos to him, a rookie undrafted free agent, making the 53-man. Cool to see. And Kendall Williamson, he played well in this preseason too. He's a little bit of a surprise. I had Tony Jefferson making the 53-man, who, by the way, has now signed to the practice squad, so he'll still be around. But it was interesting to see why he made it on the 53-man and not Tony Jefferson. Don't really know. I haven't seen any news about it, but it's good to have Tony Jefferson still in the building with the Chargers because injuries happen, and he had a great preseason, and he's well respected. He'll fit right into the defense if needed. Okay, on to specialists. Cam Dicker and J.K. Scott, no surprise there. The big news is that Josh Harris got hurt in the 49ers game. He got put on the IR today. The Chargers did work out long snappers. I believe they signed one to the practice squad as well. Yeah, they signed Rick Lovato to the practice squad today. I think Tucker Fisk is also the backup long snapper if needed. So that may be another reason why he's on the 53-man. But that's a big loss. Josh Harris is a pro, and he'll be gone for the first 4 weeks of the season, nursing the injury. I haven't seen what the injury was. I remember seeing him at the game last week get hurt and come off to the sideline, but I don't exactly know what the injury is. But regardless, he's out for the first 4 weeks, which sucks because he's a big part of that special teams unit. But hopefully next man up, whoever that is, can do the job. All right, let's talk about the practice squad. So the Chargers signed 17 players to the practice squad today. We have Carson Barnhart, Tara Edwards, Harrison Hand, Jaquay Jackson, Tony Jefferson, Imani Johnson, Josh Kaltenberger, Rick Lovato, Naheem Miller-Hines, Miles Purchase, who played well during the preseason, Germán Randolph, Jalen Rager, David Sharp, Branson Taylor, Jay Unganlele, Kamani Vidal, and Thomas Yasmin. Like I had mentioned, the Chargers did lose Rocket Sanders to waivers. They lost Delvian Campbell to waivers, and they lost Treweezy Bridges to waivers as well. So Sanders went to the Browns, which I had mentioned. DeLavion Campbell went to the Panthers, and Bridges went to the Cowboys. I think the biggest loss there, like I mentioned, is Rocket, but I don't really know the Chargers thinking behind it, but they must know something we don't. But it's good to see them get opportunities elsewhere. Campbell and Sanders played well all this preseason, so it's good to see them be able to compete elsewhere. But the stage is set. It's going to be go time soon. We get a big game coming up against the Chiefs. There's probably going to be a lot more information coming out about the Chargers and this moving pieces of the 53-man. So we don't know what the final outcome's going to be, but this is the best that the Chargers have to offer. So we got to roll with it and hope for the best. I still think the Chargers are going to come out and do well against Kansas City. I just think because they have so many more weapons on offense that, regardless of the offensive line, which is a big piece, I just think that there's more pieces for Herbert to work with than compared to last year. But we'll keep an eye out on any news that comes out about the roster. I'll be sure to bring it to you as quick as I can. But with that being said, hopefully you enjoy this episode. Quick rundown on the 53-man roster plus the practice squad. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Electric Edge Podcast on YouTube and follow me on X at Electric Edge Pod. Also, leave me your thoughts about the 53-man roster, also about the practice squad, also about some of the players that were picked up on waivers by other teams. Would love to hear your opinions and feedback on how this roster looks. So with that being said, as always, go Chargers and bolt up.